Tempo is a brand new investing app available in New Zealand, and we are very excited to be telling you about how it works and how you can use it. But just firstly, to let you know, in 2023, they conducted a survey with 1,000 Kiwis, and they found that 27% of people who they spoke to didn't know where to start when it came to investing. We're probably guessing quite a few of those people are maybe listening to this podcast, so keep listening.
So the great thing about Tempo is that their goal is to take the guesswork out of investing. When you sign up, they ask you some pretty simple questions, including how you feel about the idea of your investments going up and down, because some do more than others. You tell them how much you want to save, and then they recommend a mix of their funds for you. It's called guided investing. You're getting investment advice from the experts. How cool is that?
Yes, it's so cool. And also because they track your goal progress, they're also able to recommend changes to your investment mix over time, which is so great. If you're a member of our investing club, we've got an amazing offer. So if you join Tempo, you'll get $10 kickstart into your account. If you would like to learn more about how you can get that, anything you need to know about the investing club or Tempo, you can find that in the link of our podcast show notes.
Let's make your investing journey as exciting as it should be.
And just a quick little testimonial from someone in our community who is using Tempo at the moment. Wow, I just joined Tempo thanks to the recommendation from The Curve, and I'm loving the layout. The breakdowns are exactly how I want my investments to be laid out for me. Isn't that cute?
Some fine print for our lovely listeners. This offer is only for New Zealand residents, and terms and conditions apply. So investing with Tempo means you'll invest in Forsyth Bar funds and receive financial advice from Tempo. For more information, including the required disclosures for Tempo, head to the link in the show notes of this podcast.
How was Tahiti?
Oh, it's great.
Just sort of a couple of days lying in the sun.
You know, look, it's been a busy day, lots of meetings, and I thought, when am I going to be able to A, get a spray tan, and B, have time for it to marinate? And I thought, you know what? I can just get darker as the hour progresses on the podcast. It's actually quite dark, eh?
It's so dark.
We
also,
can't go over time because I literally I will be,
the idea that it's called marinating as well.
Yeah.
Oh God. It always looks so scary when you get a spray tan initially.
It's always like people are like, oh God. You're like, oh, have you never had a spray tan before? It doesn't look like this when you wash it off. I don't know.
Did you get it on your face? It looks like she didn't.
A little bit. I hope she did a little bit. Otherwise it's so obvious.
The last time I got one was for our event, and she did really orange hands. I had really orange hands. I was
haven't
quite
had one
gutted.
in a long time. I forgot the moves, you know, when you're like,
It doesn't matter how many times I've had it. Even in the moment, I forget what arm or leg she has to tell me every time.
The best part is when you're like, oh, can you just lift up your arms?
Oh, I get could you just lean forward? And I have to keep leaning forward because my butt crease is so big that she's like, you're going to have a giant white patch. Oh my God, I had a time for my ball. And I spent far too much on it. It was like a sort of like gradual, you know, like the sort of moisturizer ones, which is a bad idea when you're 16 and trying to get ready for a ball because anyway, I ended up applying far too much on my like lower shin area, like knees and lower shins. So I had the bottom of my legs was so dark. But then I also panicked because the gradual wasn't kicking in. So then I went and got a spray tan on top of it. The photos are so bad. Like I said to my mum, that was your responsibility to make sure that it didn't look ridiculous.
But self-tanner back in our day was so bad. Oh. Like now it's come a long way.
Do you know what? I remember at school I would have been
I'm trying not to touch anything. It's so weird.
So young, and I will never forget. I mean, you know, I've got a bad memory. I was sitting in drama class. Yeah, shocking to think I was in drama. I know, and I had my tartan skirt on and my socks, and I had my shins on display. And someone was like, "You look quite tan." This was when Johnson & Johnson's first gradual tan came out, like the first one, and I fully pretended it was real. I was like, "Oh, thanks, yeah."
Oh, I always do. People have been like, "Oh, you're so tan." I'm like, I know, and then is it fake?
It was the best kept secret for a while. I didn't tell anyone.
Yeah.
I was like such a little gatekeeper. Hey, what's happened in the stock market?
Stock market has had a very bad start. So it was down 4% in February, which sounds like a small movement, but that is quite impactful. And why is this? Well, the main thing being tariffs. So they literally came in this week, but they've obviously been speculated about coming in for the whole month.
So they're official now.
They're official now. There is 25% tariffs on imports from Canada and Mexico, and 20% additional tariffs on China. So Canada has already come out and said one of the biggest Canadian distributors of alcohol has said that they're pulling alcohol. They threatened to, and now they're like, cool, okay, well, you've done tariffs. We're going to retaliate. Honestly, I think...
Shit, that's a bit scary.
Yeah. Yeah. So,
I can tell you're actually being serious. Like, when I can tell when you're kind of like, oh yeah, not ideal, but you're like, this actually could be quite bad.
I just feel sorry for all the little small companies that have kind of been caught in the crossfire. Imagine being like a drinks brand and you've finally cracked it into the US market or whatever, and
now you're not allowed to export there.
Now you're allowed to export to Canada. I don't know. It would just be
to America, right?
Well, no. So Canada's saying we're not taking any US alcohol. So if you're a small US brand
trying to go outside of the US,
you got like a national distribution, and now you're getting global distribution. You're going to Canada and like Mexico, and I don't know. I just feel like there's, yes, it's political and it's at a country level, but like it does impact everyone in between, and I just think it sucks. Anyway, yeah, the S&P 500 has dropped because of that. This has really, really spooked investors. I mean, Trump kind of shoots from the hip and then sometimes it doesn't really play out, but the fact that it's actually playing out now is not good. So yeah, higher costs for businesses, higher costs for consumers, because US consumers are just going to have to pay higher prices for things. We also had a bunch of results which weren't that good, which has caused the stock market to fall as well. Like Nvidia's wasn't that good in terms of the stock market reaction. Tesla wasn't that good. Tesla hasn't been good for a while. There's also economic growth concerns now across the globe because these tariffs are going to impact countries' ability to grow, particularly Canada. Economists are saying that kind of GDP, which is the gross domestic product, which is like a kind of like a function of the health of an economy and how much it grows,
it's
is going to go backwards.
It's almost like a country's net worth, kind of.
Yeah. And it's like if your country is humming and you're producing lots, selling lots, people are spending, everyone's feeling happy and great, that figure increases. But if it's not, you're in recession, people are like, oh, I'm not going to be able to spend, I've lost my job, all of that, that means that's negative. So yeah, it's not looking good for the markets right now. But I think with this being said, and yes, you're right, I am kind of nervous, but I'm also like perspective. It's been 2 months pretty much of this man in power. And yes, there's going to be reverberations and effects throughout different sectors, different companies, different countries. But I hold the S&P 500 ETF that has got 500 companies in there from lots of different industries, some that will benefit, some that won't benefit. It's got companies, yes, they're in the US, but they've got global operations. So yes, they'll benefit, but some won't either. So I'm kind of trying to avoid the headlines. I'm being actively interested in what's going on because I think it's fascinating. And I'm understanding why the stock market's moving, but I'm not reacting.
Is an approach investing in just American companies? I know that's a shit thing to say, but
yeah.
Is there
the US economy is doing very well right now, and so yeah, there is that you could invest in US companies, but this could lead to inflation in the US, and therefore that means higher interest rates to bring that inflation down, because now everyone's having to pay an extra kind of 25% on a lot of things. So yeah, I think if you're sitting there trying to pick which is going to win or what country or company, I think the easiest thing is to just be diversified and just own everything.
It's probably not the best time to be like actively investing, right? Like
well, he's just so erratic as well. He could come out and say, I don't know, we're going to war with Russia, and then all American companies would be absolutely tanking. So I just think his irrationality,
I think it's going to be
hard to predict.
A long 4 years, and you just
100%.
You just have to be in it for the long term.
Yeah.
I mean, really unfortunate for me being a house buyer that has to take her money out of the market now. It's not ideal.
Yeah.
4% down in the month that I have to take my money out is pretty shit.
Yeah.
But you know, it's like it's such a good reminder that if you have a decent amount of money that you're going to need in the future, don't wait until the month or two that you need it.
But I guess you didn't really, your house purchase was kind of sprung on you a little, not sprung, but like you weren't like, right, in 4 years time, I'm going to buy a house. So therefore I'm not going to, it was kind of, I've got the opportunity now to do it. I'm going to do it. So yeah, hindsight's great. But I think you live and you learn as well. Next time when you buy your second house.
Yeah. I mean, I think the thing is like, because I'm thinking, how you suggested thinking about taking your KiwiSaver out if you're permanently immigrating, because it means you can then invest that. With the market down, it's like it's not the best time to pull out money.
Yeah, no, it's not.
So,
but it's fun headline that I read, which I thought was quite lol. So the number of Americans applying for UK citizenship last year was the highest on record ever. Really? So there's like a mass exodus from the US.
Going to the UK?
Going to the UK.
Oh my God, that's quite fun.
Yeah, because people were like,
get me out of here. Yeah. I'm not surprised.
Funny. Yeah.
I think there's a lot of people feeling really a bit icky about being Americans and living in America. It's kind of a scary place to be right now.
Yeah, 100%. And like we've just relaxed our foreign investment laws, or going to, in New Zealand. So welcome, come here, Americans.
Yeah, come to us.
Come spend your money in our economy and help grow our economy.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then we can all benefit and have really great jobs and really good economic growth and a great performing stock market.
What happened to Fisher & Paykel? Speaking of our stock market, 25% of our stock market.
Yeah, about 20%, yeah. I mean, it's down 8% in the last 6 months.
It's quite a bit.
So it keeps going down.
Gosh.
Yeah. February was really bad for it, obviously. But it's a great business.
Is it?
Ooh. Yeah. It's been like one of New Zealand's success stories. Also, Prada. There is some news out with Prada. So, Versace.
Can I just quickly ask you something on the Prada front? Who can afford Prada shoes? Or a Prada, like it is so wildly expensive.
It is outrageous, yeah.
Like it's outrageous. I keep seeing people with those they're not peep toes, sorry. They're like pointy-toed white bridal shoes that everyone seems to be wearing as a bride with like Prada on the front. Anyway, I'm just like, that is so much money. Who has that amount of money to spend on shoes?
People earning a lot.
But is it earning a lot? Or is it just like spending outside of your means?
Both, probably.
Because do you know what I'm going to sound like?
Or investing in quality. That might be like the one pair of shoes they buy every couple of years.
Oh, still.
Yeah.
Where on earth are you? It's like my whole salary on a pair of shoes.
I went into a Prada store just before Christmas because I was just wandering the streets.
Having a look, were you?
I was like, just want to feel. Just try. Excuse me, can I get that? Can I try this on in red? Thank you. No, I won't take it. It doesn't look quite right. Just like I was never going to buy it. And there's just there was just people in there. This one woman in particular. She was like talking to her other children, and she's like, "What can we get Sam for Christmas?" And then she's like, "Well, I like this," and like picking up. And I was like, I want you to be my auntie. I was like, oh my God, amazing. Like just kind of like talking about what the family members want from Prada.
As if they're in Farmers, just pulling things out
exactly,
that are like
they're in Target or like, I was like, oh my gosh. And then she was like, oh yeah, I'll get this. Just
I hope I always am very aware of the value of money. Yeah. Not in an anxious, I don't want to spend money way, but not in a, $100, $1, whatever. It's not a big deal. Like I find that level of wealth or unawareness kind of a bit yucky.
Yeah. Yeah.
Imagine just strolling into a Prada shop and getting a random $5,000 gift for someone. Like,
imagine
it's bizarre.
if they didn't like it.
Yeah, it's a waste.
Either. Like,
did you try something on when you were in there?
Yeah, some sunnies.
The audacity, I'd be too nervous. I'd be too scared I'd drop them or something.
I know. There is. They're like, do you want a glass of water? I'm like, yes, please. Thank you.
Can I have a cocktail, actually?
Yeah. They were like, so are you in our system? And I was like, because I was asking for a different size. I think I was trying on shoes. This is like, been it twice. It was another time. I was asking for shoes. Yeah. And they were like, you know, our system? I was like, oh, I can't remember.
That's It's such a bridesmaid moment.
Maybe under Mrs. Iglesias.
It's so funny.
But anyway, so shares of Versace, the parent company that owns Versace, which is Capri Holdings, their share price.
Cool. Capri Holdings. I like that.
I actually Googled Capri. Is it because I wanted to find their stock price, and it came up with like those 3/4 pedal pusher things.
Oh, the 3/4 pants with the little slits on the side by the knee.
And I was like, those were such a blast from the past.
They look good on no one.
I used to love them. I used to have ones with little
good on them.
with little like butterfly clip things on the side. Yeah.
Thank you, God.
From HBK.
That Capris are not currently in fashion.
HBK and Oshkosh.
No.
Oh gosh,
because I've got a large bottom, and if I'm in Capris, I tell you what, there is nothing
They're
more
back in fashion, girl.
Unflattering, are they?
Yeah. Anyway, Capri owns Jimmy Choo and Michael Kors, and also owns Versace. And Prada has made a bid for Versace. So Prada will now have, it's got Miu Miu. So it's got Prada, Miu Miu, and now it'll have Versace. So
quite a good lineup.
It made a bid for it for $1.6 billion. So Capri is listed on the New York Stock Exchange. So as soon as that was announced, its share price jumped. But interestingly, Prada is one of the only luxury names that's actually done well.
That's what I was about to say. I thought, because we talk about LVMH and we talk about all the other luxury goods brands just going down and down and down. Why do we think that is?
It's because of Miu Miu. So
really,
Miu Miu has like single-handedly like kept the whole kind of parent company afloat. So and it's just like wealthy young shoppers wanting to buy Miu Miu. And
Miu Miu is cool.
It's cool. I love Miu Miu. Yeah. Like it's funny when you notice things. I don't know, you're like, oh, those are cool sunnies. And then you're like, oh, they're Miu Miu. Oh, that's a cool skirt. Oh, it's Miu Miu. You know, like you kind of
it's
had a resurgence.
But it's also quite, I'd say Miu Miu is slightly more, not understated, it's not the right word, but it's less, it's not like Givenchy or whatever it's called.
It's like,
or like
old
is it
luxury.
Givenchy?
It's
Givenchy,
more,
whatever it's called.
Yeah.
It's not like as overtly, I don't know, I feel like people that buy Miu Miu have great taste in my opinion.
I agree. Yeah. So you're right. LVMH, which is Louis Vuitton, Moet Hennessy, their share price is down 20% in the last 12 months, and Prada's is up 20% in the last 12 months.
What do you think we take from that? Because actually someone the other day, who was it? Someone was asking me about the future of luxury. Oh my God, who was that? And I was like, I should actually check in because we've spoken about LVMH quite a bit. Are you still on the bandwagon that you think it will make a comeback?
I think it will. Yeah. Luxury is just like a different beast in itself, the luxury space. And yes, brands will have their heyday. I think LVMH is great because it's got lots of different brands.
But that's why I'm surprised because there's so many. Yeah. How is there not one or at least two of them that's kind of like carrying the rest, you know?
Do you mean in LVMH?
Yeah, or like the fact that Miu Miu's carrying Capri Holdings.
Well, yeah, with Prada, you've just got Prada and Miu Miu essentially. Those like, you know, whereas LVMH you've got so many different ones that even if one's doing really well, it's not really going to move the needle for the whole business. Do you know what I mean? So yeah, there's merit in having fewer brands that like a portfolio that kind of puts you at risk of those fewer brands doing well. Versus if you have a whole lot, then there's the chance that some of those do well, some won't do well in certain periods of time. But like if we look at LVMH, like yes, it's down 20%. But that is only back to like where it was in August last year. You know, if you're buying then, why aren't you buying now? I'd be nibbling.
Have you?
I love a little nibble.
God, there's just so many things I want to nibble on.
I know.
I weirdly got so excited with and I'm kind of surprised that it got me excited, was Zero that we spoke about in the Investing Club. I was like listening to that and surprisingly, I don't know, because I think, sorry, this is slightly off topic, but I like the idea of it being in tech, but not super techy. It's like, it's got an underlying purpose of accounting, but it's tech.
It's carved out a niche, essentially. Yeah.
Sorry, that's so off topic.
Also, in Australia, we've had, and I know you hate talking about this, but I think we need to.
Are we doing Shell or something?
No, it's just a recent report that was out about the gender pay gap. And we know it's there. We know we can't ignore it. But in Australia, what really fascinated me about this report, and it's made headlines, you know, through a lot of Australian newspapers, is that on average for every dollar that a male full-time worker earns, the female is earning 78 cents.
Still?
Yeah. So that's
I'm sure it's illegal. Like,
No, but like you how can you can't?
No, it is illegal. It's illegal to pay someone a different amount for doing the same job purely.
Yeah, but you
because
can always justify someone's not. You know, you could be like, oh no, but John comes in an hour earlier. I was doing the same job essentially for there's a lot of my colleagues.
Yeah, but you could say that's not legal. And they would have had to give you a pay rise.
Yeah, but they could argue that like it is legal because
you're
covering. Yeah. You've got less experience. You've got every human is different, so you could say something of that effect. But yeah, it's quite like it's a 22% gender pay gap, and ours is about 8% in New Zealand. So
that is so bad. 22%.
Yeah.
Why is it so much worse in Australia? That's terrible.
Yeah, it's so bad, and the gap is bigger in higher paying companies. So that disproportionately larger, that gap in higher paying companies. So in like companies like finance, where they pay a lot of money, companies like the mining industry, which is big in Australia, they pay a lot of money. Real estate, you earn a lot. Also, all three of those industries, very male dominated. And what their excuse is, and many firms justifying it, is saying that they simply have more men in top roles. And it's like, yes, but that's not a solution. It's like, why is this the case, and how do we remedy it? Because that is what's leading to the wealth gap, the retirement savings gap, all of that. And so how do you make it more comfortable and have women aspire to be in senior management roles, earning more? Is it creating an environment where they flourish? And right now, that is not making people return to work full time, 5 days a week. You know, that is having supportive maternity, paternity leave policies. And yes, I think there's a real case here if you're in Australia, even if anywhere in the world, is like talking to your employers and asking them for transparency. Yeah. If they've got nothing to hide, why wouldn't you? Like, honestly.
Yeah, I almost feel like, I mean, especially given we had International Women's Day over the weekend, it's definitely a good time to talk about it. I feel almost like bringing back the anonymous salary spreadsheet's a good starting point. And do you know what? It's getting guys to fill it in. Like, it's almost comparing the men and women in similar roles and seeing where that gap is.
And putting your workplace in and calling them out. Making a change for like all the other women that are to come. Because I think that's the frustrating thing, is like, this is going to take generations to change. And I don't want my daughters and like my granddaughters having to do the same job as a male.
Deal with this shit. And like, sort it out.
Oh, I saw the cutest thing. You actually sent it through to our Curve group. And it was like that exercise they did in, I think it was Sweden or Norway. And they got young kids, boys and girls, to clean up a room, essentially, pick up some balls and everything, and then they thanked them by giving them a cup full of lollies. And they gave the boys a full cup and the girls got half a cup, essentially. And the look in their faces were like...
They were like, you got that, he got more because he's a boy.
Yeah. And they were like... But we each picked up the balls. What? That doesn't make sense.
Yeah, it was
like, welcome to real life.
Really heartbreaking, but also just like so. Yeah.
And then one thing we haven't had an update on in a while.
What? Oh my God, what?
TikTok.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
Oh my God, what's going on?
Actually, this is a really good point. I heard the other day that someone said, you know, the reason that Trump is doing all this like stuff, you know how he blasted the Ukraine president and it was like all over the news, and like, you know, he's doing all these like shock horror things and like tariffs and all that. And it's called, I can't remember the name of it. It's a tactic.
Is it media boycotting or something?
No, it's like you flush the media with these things over here that you want people to focus on, and then you get other things through the door because and it's like, it's actually a political thing.
Oh my God.
And so yeah, it just kind of made me realize that we haven't heard about TikTok for a while because we've been focusing on all of the other Trump stuff going on.
Oh my God, you're so right.
Yeah. So we're the stupid ones that are like focusing on, he's like, you know, it's distraction therapy or whatever. It's like, he's dangling shit in front of us so that we get distracted. It's like a bull with a red flag, and then you're just like,
running out of the bull ring on the other side. Oh shit. So what's going on with TikTok?
So Well, I want to ask you, what do you think Serena Williams and TikTok have in common?
Okay. Powerful.
I don't think you'll get it because I
takes lots of hits.
Yeah.
No, wait. I want to brainstorm here. Serena Williams.
Something to do with her husband.
Oh. I don't know anything about her husband.
Neither did I. Her husband is actually the Reddit co-founder.
Really?
Yeah. He's like,
what a hot couple.
Yeah, he's like a billionaire, and he is joining forces with some other billionaire friends to bid for TikTok.
Cool.
Yeah.
Oh my God, cool.
Yeah.
This is the best update.
So his name's Alexis Ohanian, and he's joined forces with other billionaires, and they're bidding to acquire TikTok and calling it the people's bid for TikTok. Oh, yeah.
This is so cool.
Yeah. So there's a whole group of them, and it's called Project Liberty. And what they want to do with it is make it a decentralized blockchain-based platform. So people, users, you and me, will actually have more control over the data than the US government or China or anyone. So quite cool. Yeah.
This is so cool.
And it makes sure that there's still privacy, there's still security, there's still that digital independence. So it's like, it's a really great alternative to, China's
Elon
not
Musk.
owned by yeah, exactly. So
do you think then if they're planning on integrating or thinking about the blockchain.
Yeah.
I mean, even just the fact that that's what they're wanting to do to me is like ding, 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 cryptocurrencies, blockchain.
Yeah.
Really good potential investments because if that is the case, one of the biggest media content platforms in the world is run on or using Bitcoin or blockchain. Sorry, I always get confused.
So Bitcoin is run on the blockchain as well.
Yeah, but I wonder if investing in the blockchain is like the infrastructure or...
Yeah, I mean, it would be like investing in data centers and stuff like that and like clean energy and like, I guess, platforms that power the energy consumption. Yeah. But yeah, and they're going to call it TikTok, the Freedom Edition.
I don't like that.
I did.
Did you?
Yeah, I thought it was great. But anyway, I think this is like, I'm like, that's like.
Can I take it back? I want to like it.
Yeah.
I like the name. I'm
Freedom
on board with this
Edition.
whole idea.
Yeah.
And what would happen if TikTok just, like, what would happen if it just got shut down? Like, is there a world in which it could get shut down?
Yeah.
And
easily.
if it did, I wonder how many millions
it would just
and
be
billions
like,
would get lost.
When you try and get an app from an app store when you're not in the country and it's like, sorry, you can't download this. You just don't have access to it.
It would just be in China.
Yeah. I mean, there'd probably be something that would appear that could like
I wonder if
circumvent.
I was going to say, I wonder if someone's trying to develop something that can be a rival.
Because you can get those like VPN things that like...
Oh yeah, pretend you're somewhere else.
Yeah, you can get like Apple TV in the US or...
So you can watch like The Bachelor. Yeah. I tried so hard to do that when The Bachelor New Zealand came out. I really wanted to watch it.
Bachelor New Zealand?
I was in Australia and I couldn't access it. It sucked.
Yeah, that's like Flower Man was on doing the cricket. He was commentating and I was in London. He was like, oh, you can watch it on that. I was like, oh, cool. And I was like, oh, it's not working.
Oh, it blocked you.
But like, thank goodness, because I don't want to sit there watching cricket.
Does he know you hate cricket?
Yeah. Yeah.
It's just so boring.
He was up till 4 a.m. last night watching cricket.
Oh my God.
I'm sorry. There is nothing in the world that will win over my sleep.
Neither. No, same.
Yeah.
I'm trying to think if there's anything.
Even if there's like an hour of sleep I get so angry.
Yeah.
I'm really going to struggle to have kids.
I just can't even imagine being that invested in anything that I'm awake in the middle of the night.
No, neither. Maybe like to get Glastonbury tickets or something.
Oh, yeah. But it would be a half an hour, go straight back to sleep.
Yeah, 100%. Even if it's a really good series.
Wouldn't you just record it?
If it gets close, like 11 would be my cutoff.
Same.
And I'd be like, oh, I'm ruined. It's going to be ruined tomorrow.
If there was a new Harry Potter movie and the only time I could see it would be 4 a.m, I probably would do that.
Yeah, but there's always people that are like, oh, it's such a good book and I ended up reading till 3 a.m. I'm like, whoa, you're a weirdo.
You've got really good personal boundaries though. Like you're quite good at just being like, this is the way I function. This is the way I function best. And you just don't ever mess with it.
Yeah.
A lot of people don't have that discipline.
I mean, I think it's just like...
No, I promise you it's not normal. It's a very good skill to have.
Also, something else I found was on like the wealth concentration and inequality, particularly in the US.
What do you mean?
So the top 10% of wealth in the US accounts for 50% of all consumer spending.
Okay, wait. The top 10% of wealth. So the top 10% of people are spending 50% of the money being spent in the US.
Yeah. which is up. That was 36% 35 years ago.
I've got a good insight here.
So it's going like that. It's getting worse. So the rich are getting richer and the poor are getting poorer, essentially.
Do you think that if we then think about how inflation affects people or the type of spending and like what economies are going to look like, if 50% of the money spent is by the 10% most wealthy people, is it fair to say that like not a huge amount will change then? Because like if you're super, super wealthy, you're not that fazed by inflation.
It comes down to wealthy people have the ability to invest their assets. They have assets and they have the ability to invest those and grow them. Working class or middle class people have less ability to do that. So in 2023 and 2024, the stock market had two of the best years, some of the best years it's ever had. And in 23 and 24, spending from that top 10% grew quite a lot, grew 12%, whereas the working class and middle class went backwards. So it's all a function of the stock market and the economy are increasingly tied to financial success of the wealthy. So when the stock market does well and wealthy people have assets invested in that, they get wealthier. Whereas, and therefore they can spend more. And therefore that divide gets bigger because the lower portion, the less wealthy, they don't have assets to invest. They don't have leftover money to invest. They don't have assets to invest, to put into the stock market to grow.
Or so they might not even know what investing is. I think a lot of it comes down to when you come from a wealthy family or you're used to being surrounded by wealth, the idea of investing, you have access to the education and also to pay for the people to do it for you.
But like if we just look at 2023 and 2024, like even if you had $1,000 and you invested in the stock market and I didn't, the end of that 2-year period, you're going to be way more wealthy than I am. I've had to bear inflation and, my money now goes less far, whereas you've made money and yet you're still, like we're both feeling inflation, but you've been able to grow your money, so you're much better off. And so it's like when stocks, real estate and businesses keep rising, that's when the wealthy get wealthier and that the kind of inequality gap gets bigger. Gets wider, which is quite sad. So, yeah.
So everyone needs to be investing.
Everyone needs to be investing, even if it is $1. The investing, it should not be for the rich. It is for everyone. It can be for everyone. There is now platforms out there that you can invest with $1. Like there is education out there. So if you don't know or don't understand what you're doing, you can learn. Like there is really way less excuses now than there was 30 years ago.
Well, it's a completely different landscape now in a really good way in the fact that social media, podcasts, platforms that allow you to invest with, there was a time where like you had to have $50,000 before you would even be able to put money anywhere. So it's been elitist for a long time. Now the problem is it's accessible, but a lot of people still don't understand or know how to do it.
Yeah, it was like elitist and hard to understand. Now it's easier to understand. So I'm hoping the next leg is like everyone will get on board and then there will be a closening of this inequality.
Closening?
I know I'm struggling to get the opposites of what I'm trying to say. Yeah.
I'd love to know if there's anyone listening to this podcast who still doesn't feel like they're confident in investing or knowing where to start. Can you comment on this episode wherever you're listening, if it's on Spotify, and just with a bit of information around like what it is that feels still like a barrier? Because as someone who's learnt about it now for a long time, like you studied it, you worked in it, so it's different. But for me, it took a couple of years for it to click, but now that it's done, it's like riding a bike. I couldn't imagine thinking about it in a different way. I'd love to know if there's people who are listening to this that still haven't got to that point where it feels obvious or clear or easy.
Yeah.
Because we're obviously not doing a very good job if that's the case.
Yeah.
Because, it is so learnable. Anyone can learn to invest. I think that my most proud thing, well, not my most proud thing, one of the things I'm most proud of with the Curve is actually our new investing course we put together at the end of last year, because the way we have evolved in talking and explaining investing and the fundamentals and all of that, I flicked through it. I can't even remember why I was looking at it, but I was looking through it on the club. Like it's on the club for anyone who joins. And I know it sounds like I'm tooting our trumpet here, but I think anyone could watch that and there wouldn't be questions. You would understand it. Like it's explained in such a easy, accessible way that I don't think we could have done that better. Like, I know that sounds kind of up
and
ourselves,
it's enjoyable. It's like lighthearted. Like if there's anything that you're gonna stay up and consume,
true.
it should be the course. It won't put you to sleep, I promise. Yeah. If there's anyone that wants to try and stay up and watch the whole thing, definitely let us know.
Well, we'll put the link in the podcast show notes for anyone that does want to have a look. You have a 7-day trial too, so you can go in and
have a look around,
watch it,
see if it's not for you, and then
do a couple of all-nighters if you want.
Yeah, we're all here for it if it means that you are learning.
Yeah, true. It's much better than staying up before watching the bloody cricket.
Yeah, I know.
Honestly, I reckon I could watch the cricket to put me to sleep.
Same. Yeah. Yeah, exactly.
Thank you so much for listening to The Curve Weekly. Make sure you hit the subscribe button to stay up to date with all the money, biz and stock market news. And if you like what you heard, we would love a review. Thank you.
Yes, we would love a review. But if you did hate it, please, don't leave one if you hate it. No, but in all seriousness, could you please leave a review? Because it really helps other people find our cute little podcast.
And we hope you have a good week and see you next Monday.
Bye.
Bye. Sweet. Nice. Yeah. See you next Tuesday. Lol. See you next Tuesday. I mean Monday.
No, actually though, new episodes out every Tuesday. Okay, quickly. The Curve was created to empower and educate you about investing, but we are not financial advisors.
Our platform exists for educational purposes only, and it doesn't provide personalized investing advice for your individual needs and should not be relied upon to make an investment or financial decision.
And always remember to do your own research before making any investment or financial decision.
We're here for any knowledge and support you need, but the final call is always yours.
And thanks for being here.
You got this.
Yeah, we know you got this.